Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donna Bond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donna Bond.
Everyone, hello, welcome in. Say hello to Nancy. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back, welcome in. Welcome to Spiritual Ambition. This is the show where we tune in to experience our divine nature, where we bridge the world of spirit with the real grounded, practical work of remembering the truth of who you really are. This is a sacred hour and it's created for you. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you for showing up and tuning in. You know, what if the courage to birth something new isn't something that you have to find, but rather something that you already carry within you, not only in your bloodline, but also in your energetics. This year and this July marks the 250-year anniversary since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And today I get to sit down with Dr. Alisha Das, internationally known spiritual teacher, angel communicator, and newly published Hay House author of the just released book last week, Your Angelic Ancestry. Her own ancestry traces back to Josiah Bartlett, one of the signers of the Declaration. He didn't have certainty around who America would become, but he sure did have willingness to bring forward the dream that was inside of him, his calling. Today, we're going to talk about lineage and loyalty and what it means to finally update our allegiances. This is going to be an interesting conversation with Alisha Das. When we update those allegiances, we have the opportunity to break free from some of the things that our ancestors maybe held on to. We can move ourselves out of fear and into freedom. We can shift out of conditioning and into our calling. We may even be blessed with a message from the great Archangel Michael himself. Our spiritual truth reminder today comes directly out of Alisha Das's new book, Your Angelic Ancestry. So I want you to take this in slowly, and I want you to let it land deeply. Listen to this. Once roused, our archangelic ancestry and purpose becomes a north star by which our life is guided so that we may soar. The question I'm inviting you to sit with today throughout the show is, what's in your ancestry that's been waiting to be seen by you, and what inner calling is asking you to finally answer, to finally say yes? I'm sure by getting your copy of Your Angelic Ancestry, you'll be able to dive even more deeply into that question, into that inner inquiry. So if you're just scrolling by and you want to stop in and be with Dr. Alisha Das and I today on Spiritual Ambition, if you've ever felt this quiet pull towards something bigger, than your current life. And maybe you've talked yourself out of it because you didn't feel certain enough. This episode is for you. You know, we fool ourselves into thinking that we need certainty. You know, I need to know that this is going to work out, or that this is going to go the right way, or that this is going to deliver a return on an investment. Really, what we need is to trust ourselves more deeply and to know that no matter how things unfold, we are always learning and growing along the way. We can save a lot of precious time when we stop waiting for life to give us a guarantee that's never going to come. But when we recognize that the calling that we have, it's not going to go away. It's patient and it will wait. Today, Alisha and I are going to unpack why an inner calling is always more powerful than certainty. And we hope to inspire courage that you might not realize you had access to, which is the valor that is alive in your angelic ancestry. So today we're going to dive deep into lineage, loyalty, and liberation. And you'll hear how Alisha's own family history became a direct spiritual message from the great Archangel Michael. You'll learn what it means to be lived rather than just living, and how to stop ignoring that pulse inside of you that is asking to be born. My intention for you today is that you leave knowing that your history isn't just behind you, it's alive and it's calling you forward. So wherever you are, I want to invite you. We're going to just close our eyes quickly. Hello, welcome in, everyone. It's so lovely to have you all back. Irene, welcome. Margie, welcome in. Thank you to the Sacred Spiral Network for what you do for transporting us into people's living rooms and offices. We're going to go ahead and call in the light. So unless you're operating heavy machinery, I want to invite you to just close your eyes and just take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. And just breathing out, letting go of anything that no longer serves you, letting go of anything you no longer need, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. Infinite universe, we call ourselves forward into your loving. We ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, imbalance, any constriction, contraction, false notion, limiting beliefs, old ideas, stale storylines, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving that may be residing anywhere in our consciousness, mentally, physically, emotionally, subconsciously, or energetically. We ask that anything less than loving be lifted and transmuted at this time, taken to the highest realms of light and sound, and dispersed back into the nothingness. Into this space, we recognize grace, peace, light, love, joy, the angels. We acknowledge and we welcome only those divine beings of light who love each one of us unconditionally, who work for the divine plan and who work for the light. We welcome only you into our sacred space here today. We ask for your support and assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work, to lift ourselves up, to connect today with the angelic realm through Dr. Alisha Das. For this and more, we say thank you. So be it. Just returning yourself to the room. Hello, Paul Bond. Hello, Dee. Welcome in, everyone. Well, very quickly, we are going to send some love and light around the world. You know, this is such an important notion that we are intending to uplift anyone around the world who might need love and light and grace. And so we have a few names that have come in that we want to go ahead and send love and light out to. If there's anyone that you know of who is struggling with anything in their life right now, who is facing a difficulty or moving through a big challenge, please drop their name in the chat and we will include them in our sacred circle of light. Welcome in, Jennifer McCormick. Lovely to have you here as always. Welcome back. All right, we're sending the light out to Kyla, Anna, to Anne. We send the light to Jill and Natasha, to Inayat. We're also sending the light to anyone and everyone in the countries of Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Iran, Sudan, and Myanmar. If there's anybody else, Kim, Dee, James. Thank you, everyone, for your intentions and remembering the power of them. Harley, we include you with our light. All right, well, everyone, boy, we are in for such a treat today. You know, I have had personal experiences with Dr. Alisha Das that have been off the charts, really, and so transformative in so many ways. Alisha has cleared some really incredible blocks working with me that have contributed to supporting me on my path and fulfilling my calling here in the world. So I want to read her bio, and then we're going to welcome Alisha to the stage and get into a conversation here about your angelic ancestry, her newly published Hay House book. So Dr. Alisha Das is an internationally known spiritual teacher, an angel communicator, and an ordained minister who bridges mystical experiences with grounded transformation. She's known for her rare ability to hear and speak the angelic language. She brings forward messages from the higher realms for the thousands of students that she has guided for more than 3 decades, myself included. Her work has been featured on ABC, NBC, CBS, Coast to Coast AM, The Shift Network, HuffPost, and Thrive Global. Alisha hosts the podcast Live Your Love, featuring conversations with luminaries including Marianne Williamson, Jack Canfield, and Neil Donald Walsh. Her debut book, Your Angelic Ancestry, which was published last week by Hay House Penguin Random House, was just released with glowing praise from Marianne Williamson, Dr. Robert Holden, and Sonia Choquette. So without further ado, for all of my rambling, we welcome Dr. Alisha Das to the stage. Hello, Alisha.
Hello, it's so lovely to be with you all.
It's so lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for coming, for sharing time with us. So this year and this July marks the 250-year anniversary from the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And your personal ancestry traces back to Josiah Bartlett, the second signer after John Hancock, a country doctor who signed what the Crown considered his own death warrant. What was it like when you discovered this connection? And I also think it's not by chance that you're publishing your book in the same, this 250-year anniversary, which is pretty incredible. And how has this been a doorway into an even more profound reveal of your angelic ancestry?
Well, thank you for the beautiful question. And it's always delightful to be with you, Donna. And hello, everybody. I'm so grateful to be with you as well. We're all in this together. So I grew up knowing, of course, that Josiah Bartlett was a second signer and my 5 times great grandfather. And there are actually some stories that were passed down. And it was actually he who figured he was signing his own death warrant. That's where that comes from. Yeah. And so to me, it's, and I have, in my family, there's other people in our ancestry. And so our family, there was senators in and out of the house. And I observed and I learned, I think I imprinted from a very early age, my mother, this platinum blonde Southern belle from this big family, married at 18, my Indian father. Now, my love, you got to realize that even when I came around, the Ku Klux Klan was collecting on the street corners. So that it was not only brave, it was dangerous for them to marry. And they did it anyway in the deep South. So, these are my roots. And so I will call forward Josiah and some of the others. Oh, what I was going to say about the imprinting, my mother treated everybody the same. They had cleaning ladies and cooks and things like that. Everybody got treated exactly like the senators. I mean, there was no differentiation. And I always loved that about her. And it's really so important. Angels don't see hierarchy. You have this monolithic great archangel who's been alive for trillions, bazillions of years, really. They don't see hierarchy between that angel and one just spawned from God, right? They're in a collective. And so that was kind of inculcated for me in my family. Like everyone is the same. Yes, do what is your calling and take big risks, but everybody is the same regardless of their status. And I love that Josiah was I mean, obviously he was a very brave man, but he was a simple country doctor. It's not like he was like, oh yeah, this will go well. Do you know? But he was called to it. He was called to it. And so it's not about feeling ready. It's about feeling called. And that was exactly the same for me with this book. It was a risk. This book presents angels in a very different way than any others. And so I think we can all connect to what's in our blood, in our DNA, in our heritage. And for me, it was fascinating that it was the country's 250th birthday, if you will, and my book released shortly. And also, my birthday is July 5th, as you know. Yeah. So the day after that birthday. And then
I would assume that wasn't planned, right? That, you're working with this major publisher, Hay House, Penguin Random House, right? Like there's probably a lot of moving parts. So can we call it a divine synchronicity that your book, your birthday was launched all in the vein of this?
I think absolutely, because also the book was delayed. The book was supposed to be released a year ago, but when I first started writing it, so both my parents died 6 weeks apart, even though they'd been divorced 54 years or something since I was tiny. I came along much later. They had been married for quite a while when I came along. I was a surprise, and then both my step parents who'd raised me since I was 3 died right when I was writing the book. And then of course the Palisades erupted in flames, and I'm sitting in the Pacific Palisades right now. And so the book was delayed, and the fact that it would be released right around the anniversary and the birthday of our country, my own birthday. I was literally doing a book signing on my birthday, and then that it would all come together, I don't think is any is not any mistake. And you know, I had the privilege when I was speaking at an event to sit with Andrew Young, who is MLK Jr.'s chief advisor, and was talking to MLK when he was shot on the balcony. And I sat with him because I was doing this talk. And so we were sitting in the green room, and what a beautiful man. And he said, coincidences are God's way of staying anonymous.
That's good. That's good. Well, it's no coincidence that this is unfolding the way that it is. And I want to draw some parallels between Josiah and yourself. And this idea that there was no certainty, right? There was a calling. Mm-hmm. And so you have just given us a very high level checklist of some major traumatic, life-changing, life-altering events that you moved through while you were writing this book. So take us back if you need to, but talk about this as your calling, Alisha. And, you know, our calling, it's not going to stay quiet. It's not going to be asleep in the back. It doesn't matter if our parents are passing on or California is burning down, the calling still wants to come forward.
Absolutely. No, it's absolutely. And I appreciate you setting the book link. That was the wrong link. I just put the correct. It's just book, AlishaDoss.com/book.
Yes, I'm just seeing that now. So there's no .com after Angel book.
No, there is .com, but there's no Angel. It's just AlishaDoss.com/book.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. No biggie.
All right. Well, we're going to drop it in the chat also. So people, if they would like to just click right in to buy the book, they will be able to do so.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just book, not iBook. It's fine.
Your calling.
Yeah. Well, you know, we all have a calling. We all have a way that God, the divine universal life force, moves through us that it does not through anybody else. And we all have a sense of our calling, and probably we're all terrified of our calling at points. I mean, I did not write the book that I wanted to write. Yes, that's it. No, it's just Alisha Doss.
On the end of book.
there's no .com on the end of book. I put it in the chat if Nancy can see it. So in any case, this book, I didn't write the book I wanted to write. I wanted to write an accessible book, like let people, wade in. And that was not the book the angels had me write. They had me write the book I was born to write. So it's a paradigm shift, and it's edgy. It's deeply comforting, but it's edgy. It calls us forward into answering that calling, not only from our human ancestry, but from our angelic ancestry. So our calling will be really loud, but you know what the most terrifying thing is to me, Donna, is when we don't listen to that voice, it shuts up. And nothing is worse than that. Joan of Arc said, so Joan of Arc, of course, is such a saint. She talked about the angelic language, which I hear. She said, I die for speaking the language of the angels. But more what I'm thinking of is, so she was going to be burned at the stake. And they said to her, well, just recant that you talk to angels and you have spiritual authorities speaking to you. She did for 3 days. And I'm sure there was lots of justification. Well, I'm certainly able to serve better if I'm alive. No, and yet I suspect those voices in her went quiet when she did that. So she came back and she said, light it up. I will not deny those voices, one of which was Archangel Michael. She states that. And so it really is a way, it really is an encouragement in us to follow that calling knowing that we are like our founders, right? So yeah, I happen to have a direct ancestry, but those are our founding fathers. We call them our founding fathers, not founding brave guys who signed a document, they're our founding fathers. And so we can call upon their bravery. It's what our country was founded upon. But every country has the equivalent of that, of these brave people who just went, this is my calling and it's worth dying for. But even harder is it's worth living for.
Say more about that. It's worth living for. And if we can get a little personal with you, you said this isn't the book that I wanted to write. This is the book that I was born to write. And say more about that. Give us a peek into
I wanted to be safe.
Real world.
I wanted to be safe, girlfriend. I wanted to write a compendium of angels. I have to tell you, my first proposal to Hay House was a compendium of angels. And it's good. I've been working with angels professionally for 35 years. I've been hearing them since I was 4 years old. I can go write a darn good angelic compendium. They did not give me the deal. Then I went, okay, what's the part of this book that will change people? And it was them getting their angelic name. And I'm like, well, I can't put that in a book. At the time, I would sit with people and help them hear their name. And I can tell you what the heck your angelic name is. It's really your archangelic name. The book was called Your Archangelic Ancestry, but nobody could say it.
Nobody can say it.
I think it's hard to say, but apparently it was. And so I changed it to Your Angelic Ancestry because people remember it. But so that what I did is having a rare disease in my family, which is that everybody is an MD. Like it's ridiculous. Even Josiah Bartlett was an MD, but my father, mother, brother, sister, step parents. I mean, it's crazy. All MDs, uncles, something in the water, I tell you. And I was an MD until I went, wait, this is a reflex. And so what I did, so I have that scientific mind. Right? Like I want empirical evidence that what I'm doing is working. People are getting tangible, measurable results. And so I sent out the angelic name meditation to pretty much everybody who I'd ever worked with through 3 decades. And I said, can you get your name with this meditation? And then they would give me feedback and I refined it and refined it and refined it and refined it and refined it until it was like, yes, I can get my name. Is it changing your life? Yes. Is it pointing to your higher purpose? Yes. Okay. Only then did I go, all right, I can write this book. Because I gave so people have to go through 6 chapters. Don't skip because you want to remember your name accurately. And then there are lots of meditations so people experience what I'm talking about with barcodes, so they can go and listen to the meditation.
Yes, I did one last night. I got the name of my archangel last night.
I love
that. This has been sort of clinking around in my consciousness for a while. And it's in the vein of like Claire or Clarice.
Your angelic name? Wait, baby, are you talking about your angelic name?
Not my angelic name,
okay,
but
good.
my angel name.
Yes, perfect. Got it. Okay,
yes,
good.
I know. You never say your archangel or your
your angelic name out,
right?
Yeah, to anybody ever. Because when it's said, if you know the name of the wind, you can call it. Of course, names of God are incredibly potent. Initiatory tones are names of God. And we don't want to share that. If someone knows your archangelic name, it may give them power over you. So we never, ever want to share that. I mean, obviously it's up to you, but an encouragement to not share.
I mean, what beautiful guidance to honor. Yes, of course. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but tell us a little bit about this connection that we have to the angels, that we really come from the angels.
That was the edgy part. Can we connect to these monolithic great archangels? Yes, of course. Can we connect to our guardian angels in our sleep growth? But we are angels in the flesh. We are archangels in the flesh. And, it's funny, Donna, I have been talking on TV shows and podcasts and everything, and I'm just like putting it out there. Obviously, I will explain what the heck I mean by that in a second. But I expect people, and this is what it is to follow your calling. Like I expect people, TV hosts, et cetera, to go, that is crazy. You're weird, And instead they're going, well, that is weird, but it makes sense. It actually makes sense. And then I see the sea of nodding heads, in very public forums. And I go, the world, this is my great hope for our planet at this pivotal time. The world is ready for this. The world is open to spirituality in a way it hasn't been before. I'm really so lucky to be friends with these with spiritual teachers who have been spiritual teachers for 5 decades, and they're all saying the same thing. I can tell people now things I never could have when I started. Yeah. People are open, they're hungry, they're ready. And so what I mean by your angelic ancestry is the angelic realm predated our realm, our human realm, by probably at least millions of years, if not trillions, if not probably billions of years, right? It's a very ancient realm. It's parallel to the human realm. The human realm was incepted much later. I mean, many spiritual teachers will say this is a latter-day experiment. I mean, you can kind of feel it's a little rough around the edges here. Right. So we're newer. So in the angelic, back to the angelic realm, parallel universe, angels are born to where we evolve. Angels are in a collective. We're all one. Right. They are born in God consciousness, always aware of God. They do not have free will or individual souls. So when an angel evolves to an archangel is when they have an individual soul now and free will. And they also now have to go discern God's voice. There's not that convenient archangel above them disseminating the will of God. And then above them are the monolithic great archangels. So there's septillions of angels. The biggest number I can think of, Googleplex, there's probably several million angels, probably in the hundreds of millions of archangels. There's only 144 great archangels that I have seen. So they are much higher than we have been, than is put out there necessarily. So those are Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and the others that come straight from the language that I've been able to name and people have been working with for years.
Raphael.
Yes, good memory, Raphael.
Talking about him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Him, but yes.
Yeah, no, it does help us. Angels obviously don't have gender. They don't have genitalia. But relating to them as a he or a she helps us more intimately connect to them. So I call them a he or a she. I see Mirael as an angel of light as a she. A lot of people see Mirael as a he. Awesome. That's how we connect. So back to our angelic realm, where angels evolved to archangels, it was taking millions of years. Why? Because the angelic is easier than here. There's no time, there's no space, there's no aging, there's no money, etc. Beautiful, but basically you can think of it as heaven, what's classically called heaven. When we, in this outrageous act of bravery, decided to incarnate here to learn more about free will, right? You have to be an archangel, have at least had one lifetime as an archangel to come here from the angelic, because again, that's when you get free will in an individual soul. And you put an angel here, other than them working with us like guardian angels or angelic groups, they couldn't survive. So when we incarnated here into this realm as archangels, we had to forget the angelic, because otherwise we would not engage here. We would think it was really, really difficult, or worse, we try to drop our body to go back to heaven, right? So now we are in this wondrous time where the realms are open to each other, and we can consciously remember our angelic ancestry, bringing forward all our gifts and acumen from all of our angelic lives into our human life, creating a more evolved individual, one who is absolutely surrendered, aware of God like an angel is, while freely choosing through our free will and sovereign nature and co-creating like a human. So you have the best of both as you open to your angelic ancestry.
Beautiful. Well, I love what you're describing about being able to communicate through the realms. And I think I was sharing with you before we came on air that when I was clearing my space and calling in the light, I could feel the levity, I guess is a good word for it. Just that beautiful upliftment and that sweet energy. And I knew the angels are here, right? And so this book is really beyond just an invitation to connect with the angels. But I feel like through your journey, you've had such confidence in knowing that you've had thousands of angels standing by, supporting you. They've been speaking to you since you were 4. And I want to ask you to share a little bit about that with us. But Alisha, what would you say to someone who isn't connected to their angels and to their angelic ancestry that could inspire them to get more curious about the possibilities that this can hold in their life?
Well, see, our skepticism, our mind, that's not the enemy. That can be a really good thing. We don't want to leave our mind at the door. So I would say have a healthy respect for that and know that you're discerning what works for you and what doesn't. So I would say, don't believe me, check it out for yourself. So there was so for angels, to connect to angels, one is to be just a little open. There's a recent study. I did warn you that I'm a nerd. I come from a whole family of doctors. There's a recent study. Yep, I know. I love that. You're my sister in that. So recent study by the NORC, University of Chicago and the Associated Press, very clinical, scholarly study. Can't get much more, right brain than that. And it showed that 69% of U.S. adults believe in angels. I'm sure it's 100% of U.S. kids, but U.S. adults believe in angels. That is more people than believe in God, by the way.
That's amazing. That's
like if you walk into a room, 7 out of 10 people believe in angels. So that crosses gender, no gender, socioeconomic status, religion, no religion. There are more people who believe in angels than believe in God. It crosses age. So they also go through all the religions. They're in Christianity, they're in the Bible almost 300 times. They're all through Judaism and the Kabbalah and the Bible, of course. They're through Islam. It's said that the Archangel Gabriel dictated the Quran to Muhammad, an illiterate man, in a beautiful language. I think it was the angelic language. And they're through Buddhism. Yeah, they're through. I just did a live stream with one of the world's top indigenous medicine women. They're an indigenous culture too. So when so many people agree on something, when we can't really get people to agree on much, there's probably something very much to it. So if one wants to connect, I would say, one, just be open. My prologue from Archangel Michael says, the first lines of the book, this book is a metamorphosis of consciousness, an ascension of awareness. All that is asked is your openness. All that is asked is your openness. And so, really simple steps like be open, call them in. They're always with you, but really what you're doing is calling yourself into awareness of them. And then take a pause. We tend to pray and talk to God or angels, and then we forget to pause and experience and listen. So it's a conversation with God and with the angels, right? So then I would say pause and realize we sense angels with spiritual sensing, just like we experience God, spirit, the universe, love, right? You can't eat love. You can't point to love, but you sure know love, right? So with love, we remember when you fell in love, you're like, I need to understand love so I can fall in love. And then you fell in love and you went, now I kind of sort of get love. Then your mind understood love. So it actually is experience first, knowing, just like, oh, this sounds weird, but there's something to it, right? You start to experience it, especially when you give yourself a little space, and it's seconds, not hours, seconds. And then your mind understands more what an angel is.
Tell us about your experience when you were 4.
When I was 4, it was really from 3 to 4, but 4 is when I do recall hearing the language. So from 3 to 4, very, very traumatic event, the kind of thing that would break most of us, and certainly would break myself. And yet what I remember is these monolithic beings of silver and white light speaking to me in their own language. And I spoke back. And that kept me whole until much later when I could heal the trauma altogether. But again, rural Indiana, you know, when I started telling people things about themselves that there's no way I could know as a 4-year-old, and I saw my mother, it was her face was a mask of fear, you know, because in Indiana they're going to call you it. First of all, I already said it's edgy, you know, got a platinum blonde mother and an Indian father. We were already dangerous, and now you got a kid who might be a child witch or something, you know, because I would like talk about things that the angels told me that there's no way a 4-year-old can know, things about other people. And then once I saw that, the fear on people's faces, though, I stopped. I'm sure we can all relate to closing our sight and playing small so we don't threaten our family. Right? And that's where my allegiance was really misplaced. But it's not, but what I needed to learn was to keep my sight open, but keep it quiet until, you know, I had a safe space for that. And it was actually, it's in my book, but it was actually when I was 9 or 10, and I had closed my sight, really closed my ears. And there was this, I woke up in the middle of the night and looked at this, was drawn to go to my window, something I don't remember doing ever before or since, really in the middle of the night as a child. There was this fallow field next to us, and there was the most glorious spacecraft. And the beings spoke to me. And they said, they didn't take me, that was a very positive experience. They said, the bottom line was open up your sight, but don't tell anybody until it's safe to do so. And I'm like, I asked them, I begged them to take me with them because there was this most beautiful humming around the ship, and I was in such peace. And they said, no, your calling is here on this planet. They said, but look to the stars and remember. Mm-hmm. And so I started listening to the angels again, but not telling anybody until I left home. And that's when, in earnest, I really started hearing the language. So there's precedence for it. There's prophets and saints and teachers who talk about the angelic language. So again, Joan of Arc said, I die for speaking the language of the angels. Wordsworth talked about the angel's tongue. Emerson talked about it, saying that the angels speak a language and will not distort their lips with the hissing of man. Whether there is a language of the angels, whether any understand it or not. So that was the way that I received that higher guidance, those higher messages, which then that's where the book came from, because I would get down on my knees on my balcony. I had to write it outside in concert with nature and give it up. And I would bring forward a message in the angelic. And then some of those are translated directly across. Those are the angelic messages. So people can get the pure frequency. But angels speak rather formally and very profoundly. So it would be a lot to have that in 300 pages of that. So then the rest I edited and made it very accessible. And then there's also a lot of true stories where I interviewed clients and friends, and then just made sure every word was true. And those are the stories in the book.
Have you seen Disclosure Day yet?
Yes. Oh my God. I saw Disclosure Day. I would not have normally gone to see Disclosure Day, honestly, but I have a new TV show on something called Spark TV, and it's a lot of it is about extraterrestrials. I'm like, well, I guess I got to go, see this movie, and I went to see it. And when I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There's a scene in it with a 10-year-old child, a couple of them, with extraterrestrials, and thank God I had a big fluffy coat with me, and I had to stifle I started sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and sobbing and shaking. And after the movie was over, I couldn't speak. I couldn't move for a while because it was, Spielberg really got it right. I didn't do the again, not spoiling anything, go see the movie, but the animal thing I didn't have, but the rest of it was very similar.
Yeah. I had that animal thing.
Oh, you did?
A couple of days before we saw the movie, with a hawk that landed on my patio and looked at me through the window. I mean, it was a little weird, I got to say, but I'm not going to spoil it for anybody either. But I had to bring it up because, you know, you were talking about witnessing a craft all those years ago. Alisha, say a little bit more about the potential of updating our allegiances and how this book can support us in so doing. And, you know, maybe some examples from your own life of how you've updated your allegiances over the course of time to be able to follow through with your calling.
Yeah. Well, you know, our allegiance, loyalty is a beautiful quality. It's a beautiful quality.
Yeah.
It's just that it can be misplaced and sometimes it can be outdated. So we make these contracts, and I'm not talking about soul contracts, but these agreements when we're young, and it's usually not verbal. You know, I'm gonna play a little small when I'm around my mother so I don't threaten her. I am not going to be more successful than my siblings so I don't threaten them. I'm not going to do anything. My big one, I'm not going to do anything weird because I never felt like I belonged in my family. So if I did something weird, I was never going to get that I belong card, right? So then I decided to like do something like I can go toe to toe with anybody on weird, because it's a paradigm. I mean, like I talk to angels, you know what I mean? But it's a paradigm shift. So I had to. It took everything I had. One, to break that allegiance of everybody has to be an MD, and I was, you know. I remember my father saying to me, like, and you were the one with the potential and you let us down, you know? and so really the first time my sister and I ever really connected, my big sister, 5 years older than me, the first time we really ever connected spiritually, because she's I'm a California, more liberal, spiritual, intuitive, right? And she's a deep South, born again Baptist, MD, who's in the Army, is a colonel for fun. So we're a little different.
You talk about this in your book.
Yeah, we're a little different. And the first time we ever really connected was with angels. She told me a miracle story with angels. And so it's a lot of breaking allegiance not to love. Like I help people break allegiances all the time if it's keeping them from their allegiance to God, right? We'll cut the cords, but I always say you're never cutting the love. You can't do that. In fact, the love will probably be more, because now you go, well, I'm not doing something because of some unspoken agreement or spoken agreement. I'm acting from my soul's calling, and often that increases our loving with our family because now we feel free. So for me, it was a massive breaking of allegiance to go, I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to, you're Indian. Come on, you got to do it. My dad wanted to be a lawyer. He became a doctor because his dad told him to. Like, that's how strong, anybody who's Indian knows this, right? Yeah. So I broke allegiances all over the place. And I still am. I mean, writing this book, like I said, I had an allegiance to belonging. But I was more, and I was afraid of not, and what the feedback would be, et cetera. But it's actually been so beautiful, because when we commit to our calling 100%, the universe supports that. And people have been so supportive of the book, and even speaking in very public forums, which I've been doing a lot more lately. Like, people are ready. They're just ready.
Yeah. Aside from getting your archangelic name, what is your favorite part of the book? What's going to help people really step into their calling?
I think a couple things. One, I think, is in the very beginning, when they really learn to hone their spiritual senses. See, they're not going to see angels like they're seeing our images right now. They're not going to hear them like they're hearing our voices. It's an inner sight. And so many people, when they open up and they experience angels, then go, oh my God, now I'm experiencing higher realms of light. I'm experiencing God, the Divine Mother, Buddha, whatever. Thank you, Kim. She just said, I ordered your book. Thank you. So
Yeah.
it's like when we experience the celestial, beyond doubt, and angels tangibilize spirit, right? They tangibilize spirit. They help us experience spirit very clearly, beyond doubt. So can we experience God, spirit, the Christ, Buddha? Of course. But angels, once you experience that celestial into this realm, then it's not so much of a leap to go, well, now I can experience my soul, and now I can experience God. Now I can experience the 14th realm above soul. So it's actually that honing of spiritual senses. Do you know, it's that honing of that sliver of faith that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger when you realize in the middle of the night, when you call out, that something calls back, because you are open now and listening. And then you start to be more and more brave. You start to know yourself, because if you know who you were through many thousands of lifetimes in the angelic, right? You don't like go into it lifetime by lifetime. It's just like, right here, I feel my wings unfolding. Right now, I'm experiencing God more tangibly. Right now, I'm connecting to the highest purpose of all of us, which is to wake up to the fact that I am divine. And so getting the name, and then they get their purpose, not just for this lifetime, but for all of them.
To wake up to the fact that we are divine. When we call out, they call back. I mean, this is like such a gorgeous invitation. This book is really like a doorway. I just, as you're speaking, I'm really seeing this as a doorway, an invitation to deepen one's connection through the angelic realm to the higher realms, just as you're describing so eloquently and beautifully and majestically. You know, one of the things that we said that we would talk about is courage and bravery. And I know that because I've seen your gene keys, you have the divine gift, the city of valor. And valor is courage and love, right? And I think there's a lot of people out in the world who so much want to have an experience with the angelic realm and the invisible realms, but they're afraid, right? It could be scary, particularly like growing up in a house like you grew up in. I mean, you are such an extraordinary example of valor to be able to fly that weird flag and pursue your calling as you know it again and again and again. I mean, you've been doing this for 30 years. What do you have to say to those people out there who might, you know, I have a sense that a lot of people listen to my show, but they don't tell anyone that they're listening to the show. You know, they might be taking it in, but maybe they're still keeping it under wraps. And I think, just like you're saying, people are starving for a deeper connection to their own majesty. Help us get past the fear. How can we be more brave, more courageous?
Well, first of all, it's really about taking just a few moments of silence, you know, each day, and connecting to the divine. For some people, it's just standing in the dirt, you know, connecting to nature. But connecting in some way each day to spirit helps you connect to your purpose. And angels are certainly, they tangibilize God. They're much more accessible. And then the great archangels are barely individuated. They almost are God. So they will take us into God. And the reason that I talk about this is because we want to address our humanity first, right? And go, so in the Bible, do you know what angels say more? And that's just one text. Do you know what they say, the phrase they say more often than anything not in the Bible? Fear not.
It's not easy being human.
It's what? It's not, well, no, that's
It's
my
not
book.
easy being human. I know. Okay. Well, that's what I thought. That's where I thought you were going, but okay.
They say fear not, because they are very awe-inspiring beings, right? It's so funny because people, sometimes people can go, well, oh, I don't know if this is Christian, because for me, it's like, the Christ is available to all should they choose love against all odds, should they be open to it, right? And Christians go, well, you know, in the Bible it says don't worship angels, worship God only. Do you know who said that quote? An angel. Swear to God, it's twice in the Bible. John the Beloved falls in feet at an angel's feet in worship, and the angel said, stand up, do not worship me, worship God only. You and I are the same. Right? So angels are one with God. They're never directing our attention to them. They're directing it directly to God, but they are God's bodies, minds, hearts, and souls that we can experience in this level. So, do you know an angel that is great to call on if you're afraid? And I still, you know, I'll get afraid all the time still. And yet at some point, to paraphrase Anais Nin, at some point it becomes harder to stay coiled in a bud than it does to bloom.
Yes.
And Archangel Michael says in the book, I'm not brave, I'm on mission for God. And when you're on mission for God, you could just be on mission to my calling. It's not that you don't get afraid. It's that calling is a louder voice than the fear, and you do it anyway. And fear is just fantasized expectations appearing real. So once you take that leap, you go, oh, I didn't die. Do you know, I would say, lastly, I went on my family's in North Carolina. My parents are dead, but my brother and sister, of course, MDs, are still alive in North Carolina. And we always go on these wild, in my family, like you don't really actually get to rest much on vacation. You have most moments planned. But we were on this wild adventure, like climbing mountains and like doing all this stuff. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, and we went up to this. So the guide was leading us, and there was a rock over water, and then there was a cliff over water, right? And I'm deciding which one to go off. And I said, what do you think? And, you know, and my younger son had already like jumped off the cliff, you know, that's his first. And the guide said, well, I've been leading these tours for 10 years. He said, no one's ever regretted going off the higher rock.
Oh, I love this, Alisha. That's beautiful. Yeah. What a great message. What a beautiful message. Everyone, we are here with Dr. Alisha Das. We are talking about her brand new book that just published with Hay House, Penguin.
Random House.
Thank you. Last week, Your Angelic Ancestry. You can buy your copy of the book at aliciadas.com/book. Alisha, thank you so much for being with us today. Where else can people find you, connect with you, get in touch with you?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, my website, aliciadas.com. And by the way, they can buy the book anywhere books are sold.
Yeah.
And if they could go into their local bookstores and ask for them, that is always helpful. Leaving reviews is hugely helpful. I have a ton of free material on my website, aliciadas.com, a YouTube channel with lots of free material. And I will be doing a couple book signings. I have a book signing coming up at Agape International Church in LA. Yeah. I don't have a definite date, but that's all on the website. It probably will be in September. And then I'll be doing
maybe I'll be there.
Yeah, I would love that. And then I'll be doing a book signings all over, you know, in New York in the fall, San Diego in a few weeks. So that's all on my website under events. And I love seeing people there. And if they want me to come do a book signing wherever they are, you know, I've been going to doing things in people's homes and in churches. And because really, when you're publishing with a publisher that big, I pretty much only keep 7% each book. And I only say that because it's really a calling. It's hard to get rich off of books unless you're, a big fiction author. It's really about our calling. And I would say to anybody, if you want to write a book and you're afraid to, or you keep procrastinating, I mean, that was my thing. How do I put 30 years into a book? I would say get a deadline, because that's what made me finally write the book. Get a deadline, or get an accountability buddy. I had a friend who would sit on Zoom. I would share my screen, and his one job was to yell at me if he saw an email or a text open. So get an accountability buddy and just write the book. And if you write the book you were born to write, it will save lives. For me, it was, if I can save one life, it'll be worth all the hours and all the investment. So I would say to people, please come forward. We need you at this pivotal time. We need the gifts only you can share. Please come forward. Send the text. Send the post. Offer the class. Make the call. Offer the class. If you have 4 people, and you wanted 4,000, those are the 4 people that God called to you. Like, it's easy to say, just do it. And I don't mean that, because we want to hold our humanity, too, right? Yeah, I hear, sweetheart, you're feeling afraid and worried. I really hear that. And then you connect to your higher power, to your spirit, and go, okay, what are you guiding me to? What's the one action, the microscopic action this moment that, well, fear is not even relevant, because now you're divine. And you wrote books. You wrote more than one book.
Alisha Das, opening our hearts. You have impacted so many thousands of people. And I just want to give you my heartfelt thank you for following your call and uplifting everyone around you and awakening so many. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I just want to acknowledge you for doing the same thing. I've watched you be brave over and over and over again. So you're a beautiful example of that. And, I just call forward our founding fathers and our founding angelic fathers and mothers to know that we do stand on the shoulders of giants.
We do. We absolutely do. And it's truly an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much for being with us today, Alisha. Please visit AlishaDas.com, and you can find her book, Your Angelic Ancestry, anywhere where books are sold. We're going to close our space in the same way that we open it. So I'm going to just ask everybody to close your eyes for just a moment and just tune in. Tune in to that angelic ancestry, knowing that you come from majestic giants, from these incredible monolithic beings. Just breathe that in. Just know you are so held and loved, and that you're being called, and only you know how to answer that call. Knowing that as you stand forward, you give others around you permission to do the same. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. I am Donna Bond, your host of Spiritual Ambition. We are now closing this space in love, with love, for love, by love, as love. Thank you, Alisha.
Thank you, love.